So I woke up this morning to an email from Magic the Gathering. No, it's not one of those emails. I'm not that important yet. But it was an email, a marketing email from them for their Secret Lair series, which is the Magic the Gathering drop system. I don't know what drops are. I'm not that hip. But nonetheless, I read it and I was very surprised to see that the next Secret Lair drop is going to be SpongeBob SquarePants. And I was reading through some of the cards, at least the images that they have out so far. And for example, we've got SpongeBob here, who is a 5-cost legendary creature, one of each color. And his ability is when he is on the battlefield, legendary creatures you control get +X/+X, where X is the amount of other legendary creatures you have on the field. And another ability that I'm forgetting right now, but I'm sure you can read it. Nonetheless, I saw this and it got me thinking. Seeing the state of Magic right now and where it's at and where it's going and things like that, what if I took it back to when I started playing Magic 13 years ago and got really into it? It was one of my primary hobbies aside from Dungeons and Dragons and video games, and then, my acting thing that I was doing, but that's neither here nor there. That was just part of life. I would take it back and I'd say, hey, look at these cards. Look at them. You can have SpongeBob SquarePants. You can have Dog Meat. You can have Pinkie Pie from My Little Pony and 11 from Stranger Things, all in the same deck. And I could honestly say that I'd probably love it. Honestly, I would love it because I was a comedian then. I'm a comedian now. And it all seems like a great joke, and I would love to decimate the board with the memeiest of meme cards out there. And I think it would be amazing. But then I would have to follow it up and say, hey, all those cards that I just showed you, most of them are unplayable. You can't legally play them. Not in a deck, not in a tournament, maybe with your friends if they allow it. But again, the cards are kind of broken, so you probably shouldn't use them. And that's just kind of the way things are now. A majority of the cards they put out, you can't play. And I would probably say, well, that makes sense. If they're broken, I get why they can't play it, but these are official Magic cards? Yeah, these are official Magic cards. Okay, well, at least you can pull them in regular packs, right? They're like, no. These packs cost sometimes $30 for a basic pack, and you don't even get the full 15 cards like you usually do. Then that's when I think my younger self would be very disappointed. And so that's kind of where this is going, the point of this video, because I want to have an honest discussion with people to see if they also think that Magic has gone too far. Because basically where I'm coming from here is I had very few hobbies growing up. And the reason I had very few hobbies growing up was because I was dirt poor. Absolutely dirt poor. And so any money I had, like if I had $4, I'd go buy a pack. And the best part about Magic to me was, granted, I love the game. The game is amazing. And the fact that you can build something and you play it, you get beaten. Okay, I know how to retool this. Okay, you got tips on how I can retool this too? Fantastic, that's great. I'm gonna take those tips in, I'm gonna rework it, I'm gonna bring it back, and I'm gonna try and beat you this time. And that was amazing. But coming from a person where I was deeply into Magic up until my senior year of high school, and then after high school I fell off of Magic because I couldn't take my cards with me, and I didn't have anybody around that could play with me. And then the pandemic hit, and after a few years of trying to figure things out, I decided, well, I loved this hobby once, let me get back into it again. But now getting back into it, I went to a game store and I was like, hey, when's your Friday Night Magic? Like, do you guys have a Friday Night Magic? Is it standard? And they said, no, standard doesn't exist anymore. And that kind of shocked me. It really shocked me, honestly, because standard was the basis of everything. Like EDH Commander was a sidebar, that was like okay, if you really want to get tool it and get technical and stuff like that, here's another version with more rules, and that wasn't really my thing. I loved standard and I loved keeping track of when cards went in and out of legality, and it was beautiful. And then them explaining to me that standard doesn't exist anymore kind of hit me really hard. And they're like, okay, we've got this thing called Pauper now where you can't use anything other than common cards. And then they've got another version where essentially every card that was released since I started Magic is legal. And then one of the primary sources is Commander. And that's fine and all, but the fact that sets aren't being regularly released on their schedule anymore, there doesn't really seem to be a core set anymore, at least from what I saw, it makes me really sad. Because it seems like through all the rigmarole and all the processes of, I don't know if Hasbro owned them when I played, they might have, but it seems like Magic has kind of lost its vision. Granted, it has a very cool vision right now, but it's lost sight of the reason it existed in the first place, which was a game. It was a game. Granted, the collection was always a part of it, but now that seems to be the primary focus, and they've taken away the game part of it, and they've just made it about collecting. Don't get me wrong, I love the idea of like baseball cards and sports cards, and would like to get into it, but I don't have that much of a passion for it. And the fact that they're trying to make Magic like that, at least it seems like it from me, it makes me kind of sad. Another good thing about Magic back when I played it originally was, like I said, I was very poor. And the fact that I could spend $4, open a pack. When I first started out, I spent $4, opened a pack, I pulled Garruk, right? The Planeswalker, the legendary Planeswalker, super rare, can't really find them anywhere, but I didn't run green, you know? So it wasn't really useful to me. So what I did was I took it to the game store. It was worth about $20 right outside of the pack. And I used that to get 5 more packs. And in those 5 packs, I pulled Chandra. And I ran red. So it was a perfect system. But the fact that you can't buy a regular, I guess they're called draft boosters now. And the maximum amount that you can pull out of that draft booster would be like maybe $5. It sucks because it seemed so much more accessible back then. And I just feel like they're trying to gatekeep it. And I don't like that. I don't like when people gatekeep things, you know? Magic is for everybody. It's a game, you know? Everybody can enjoy it, everybody can play it. And it just seems like they've gamified it. They've gamified the game, go figure. But not in the fun sense, but more in the, I don't know, I don't want to throw out the word gambling sense, but seems like it. Because if you want to get cards that are worth money, you have to drop the, I don't know, I was looking at the Lord of the Rings set when it was coming out, and I wanted to get one of the collector booster packs, and I think those packs were, I can't even remember, something around like 30 to 35 bucks for one pack, and it's not even guaranteed to give you something that is worth at least $35. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe this is just a whole diatribe on something that doesn't need to be said. But in my honest opinion, I think Magic has lost sight. They've gone too far. They've gamified it. They've made it inaccessible to the common person and have been playing more towards the collectors and the resellers and the people that open packs online on live streams, and people can buy a pack, or I don't know how that works. I don't watch that. I've only ever heard of them, but it really makes me wish that they'd find sight of the game again. And a set they just released, I don't know, probably a couple months ago at this point in time, Magic Foundations, where they take essentially, they've got a set of the best cards from the past, I don't know, 13 years, back when I started playing, and it is now the standard set, at least from my understanding. It's the set that will be legal from here on out. You have a base that you can build off of, and I appreciate that, but it really appears as if they don't want it to be a game anymore, and they just want it to be a collection, like baseball cards, like football cards, like basketball cards, which, sure, you can do that. You can absolutely do that. You're a mega corporation. Why not? But I'd really like to find the game again. Be really nice. Don't get me wrong, I love the Universes Beyond thing that they've been doing, and at least, you know, at least it appears the Fallout one seems playable, because they released it in deck form, which is really nice, but it's very confusing when it comes to the My Little Pony cards, you know? Those aren't playable. Or this new SpongeBob set, I'm not sure if that's going to be playable. At least the SpongeBob Legendary seems playable, but you're not sure nowadays. There's a lot of ambiguity surrounding the game itself and what's playable, what's not playable. When you can play, you can't even bring decks in to play a majority of time at game stores. A majority of tournaments I see nowadays are just draft tournaments, which I loved participating in a draft tournament, don't get me wrong, but I miss building a deck and taking it to a tournament and seeing if you can win. And if you didn't win, you can learn, you know? But that's just me. That's just my opinion. I wanted to make a video surrounding Magic because I've been having these thoughts and feelings for a while, and I just want to get other people's opinions on it as well. So if you have been in the Magic sphere for longer than me, as long as me, or maybe you've been here ever since the game got released and that's when they made real concentration, that's another thing. The mobile game seems to have taken precedence in the playing Magic world, which, fine, but like the physical things, you know, tangibility of it, the face-to-face of it, that sort of deal. But if you have an opinion on this as well, or you have some insight into how things work, or what the idea is behind this, or if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, please sound off in the comments. I would love to talk, but I just have been having these opinions about Magic. So, to answer the question that the title of this video proposes, I do think Magic has gone too far. They've lost sight. But there's hope because of Foundations. I saw it released and it made me think that maybe they are actually listening. Maybe they've noticed that they've also lost sight because of the unplayability of all these promo cards and things like that. If you don't have an opinion on this, let me know what your favorite set was in the comments. Mine was Theros. I'm a Percy Jackson kid, so going into Greek myth was one of my favorite ones. But nonetheless, if you like this type of stuff, please like and subscribe. I've got a bunch of other content on my channel that you want to check out. A bunch of me reading Reddit stories, tips for new players. I do a deep dive into the history and the mechanics of Dungeons and Dragons as well. So if you're into nerdy stuff, please stick around, subscribe, because there's going to be more stuff coming out in the future, and I'd love to have you here. But be on the lookout for more videos in the future, and I will catch you in the next one.